open up. You OPN. Bitch, you won't be we should be closer to friends.
Hi guys, how are you? I am so excited to be a part of this live. A lot of you guys probably will catch this on replay, and hopefully you can join us as we're talking. I'm so excited to be invited by Markila and 3117 Chicago. I think this is an amazing initiative. And yeah, I hope that you guys continue to be encouraged, and there are more of this to come. So I'm going to see if a few more people come in, but if not, we're going to get started, and I know people will catch it on replay. But yeah. Thank you again, Markila, for inviting me. I'm so grateful. I love what is happening with this movement, the community. It's so needed. We need more things like this, collaborative spaces and opportunities for women. It's something that I feel like is invaluable. And as we grow as entrepreneurs, as leaders, we're going to need more of this. So you're right on time, and, continue to do what God is calling you to do. And I know He's going to go and make it even bigger than you imagine. That's what He does. So as people kind of come in, I see somebody stepped in. Hey, how's it going? I'm going to talk, and hopefully you guys can find some of the things I say beneficial. Ariel, it's so nice to meet you. I'm excited to be a part of this conversation, and I'm going to chat, and obviously I'm going to tell you who I am. For those who don't know, my name is Jackie the Educator. I also go by Jackie. I am a former director of diversity at an institution in Chicago, and now I'm a full-time entrepreneur and mother. For those of you who are a part or been affected in this epidemic and how it's causing a lot of mothers to have to be home and work at the same time, know that I'm praying for you, because the struggle is real. Like, it's hard up in here, like having to juggle a kid on one arm and have a phone call. It's so hard. Have grace with yourself during this time, because you're not the only one. So if you have a child yelling in the background while you're on the phone, don't feel bad. What's up, Tanikia? How are you doing? Love you, sis. I'm just talking about mommies really quickly as I see people come in. If you are a mom and you're on this call and you are with your child at home, because it's a lot of us having to do that right now, feel free to just give yourself grace. I had to do it today because I know that it's going to be hard. And, I had this great lesson plan for the whole day, and then work is still happening. And so sometimes you have to adapt and adjust. So give yourself grace, take some popcorn breaks and allow, your kids just to live, and they'll survive. I promise they'll be okay. But yeah, thank you guys for joining. I'm going to talk a little bit. I'm not going to take long, but I really want to share with you guys who I am and what I've done, and just a little bit about how being an entrepreneur and living a life of purpose has allowed for me to live out my wildest dreams. So I am currently the founder of Black Christian Influencers, which is a community of influencers from all different backgrounds, from entrepreneurs to doctors, trades, artists, ministry focused leaders, pastors. All of them are together in a community online that allows for them to connect and collaborate intentionally. And this community was created about a year and 3 months ago, specifically because I felt that I needed to connect with people who were doing good things. Oftentimes I felt like I was the only one busting my butt, working hard, and I just needed to know that there were other people doing it. So I connected with a few of my close friends and brought us together, and we were just sharing ideas about social media and, just being able to do things and advance our own, ministries. And next thing you know, it just evolved into what it is today, which is now we have a membership of over 2,000, and we have platforms that are over 20,000 people involved in supporting. We have an app which allows for people to find new members. If you want to use people for podcasts, or, you want to use people for events, or maybe you just want somebody to come and talk to your classroom or come and talk to whatever you're doing. It's so many different people a part of it. Maybe you need a graphic designer. Anyway, all these people are on the app, and it's almost a database for people to find them. And it's been such a blessing, and it's growing so quick. Within the first week, we had probably over 100, and then by the end of the month, we had over 1,000. And it's still growing every day. And right now, I think we're a little bit over 20,000 interactions with it. So it's amazing what God has done in a short time. I say all that because for me, it's important to know that God will blow your mind when you allow him to. I never thought that God would be able to give me an idea like this. Like, I'm not that smart. I try to think I am sometimes, but honestly, I fell into a lot of this stuff that's happening because I was able to follow God. I've worked in education my entire life, so I'm very regimented. Okay, I do this, I get this. I do finish these assignments, I get this grade, I pass this, and I can advance. And that's how my mentality was, and I never, understood that Christ requires faith. He requires you to just let all that out the window sometimes and just follow him. And so I really, had to learn how to do that. And it took me a while. Actually, I was married at one point, and that was really the trigger for me when we had to separate. He had severe PTSD. And, honestly, my whole life fell apart at that moment. You get married and you just think that that's how it's supposed to be. And, I honestly just assumed that, my life was set and it was this picture perfect thing. And next thing you know, God had me start all over. And I was here, trying to learn how to be a new person, and start completely from scratch. And, honestly, I wanted to do it right this time. And so I started to learn how to listen to God, and God eventually led me into all of the things that I'm doing now, even with, some of the things that I'm working on with building a cafe in Chicago. It's just so many doors that he's opened because I was able to listen. And the purpose that is over my life, honestly, is just growing. The creativity that sparks when you start to get in your purpose. I love how you guys are even in this community right here because, especially when you connect with other people like yourself, it sparks automatically. It's just a trigger almost to you opening up new parts of yourself when you begin to align yourself with the right people and what God is telling you to do. And so it's so important for you guys to stay encouraged with this space that you're building, this collaborative thing that's happening with this organization. I feel like it's just needed because you will find that once you start to connect in the right spaces, you're going to open up some doors. People going to know people. You're going to get referred out of nowhere, and you're going to, I'm sure, be like, man, how did my name get in that room? And you're going to look up and it's just going to happen because that's what happens when you put yourself in the right space. So, if you guys are a part of this organization or you're thinking about it, please, I know it's still building and it's stuff that's in the works, but make sure you're following it because I believe that God is going to move through this. So my testimony, being a creative and even being a mom now, single, and having to do it all over again, I promise you, I was scared out of my mind. Because some of the things that God was giving me has never been done before. And I felt like, where's the manual? Like, what do you mean? I got to start a cafe with counseling and arrange it so that people can get free counseling services for free. That's never been done before. Those type of ideas don't come about because people don't have the funding for it. And literally, guys, when I tell you that things happened that were just so strange, honestly, my dad is a pastor and he had this three buildings that were together. The building has been in existence for over 100 years. Like, it's that big. It's in Inglewood, Chicago, and never have we had a fire before. But I tell you guys, when I started to do the work, I started offering free counseling services in our cafeteria at the church. Literally, when I started doing that, the very first time that we had a session scheduled, there was a fire at the church that burned down that side of the building. I kid you not. And I was like, God, what the heck was that about? Like, you told me to do this counseling. I'm doing it in this, bootleg kitchen and doing the best I can for the people in the neighborhood. And there was a fire. But what we didn't know was that there was an insurance policy. Oh, I felt the Lord right there. There was an insurance policy that allowed for us to make that space into something that would never have been possible in our own means. Like literally it was gutted out, and now the space has brand new everything. The floor plan was changed to accommodate what we're trying to do. That's what God does when you open your mind to be creative. He expands it. It's almost like, okay, great. You started to think outside of what, people told you is possible. And then he'll blow out a wall in that room that you finally walk into. So, as a creative, if you're looking and you're thinking like, man, what am I supposed to do? Just start going in the different direction that God is telling you. And I promise you, even if it looked like it's a dead end, it's not, because God honestly will put spaces that look like there's an end to it just so that he can bust a wall open and blow your mind. So don't get discouraged in what you're doing, ladies, because I know that God is going to continue to show you what he's about. Like he's about that life and he knows exactly what he's doing. So, as an entrepreneur, as a singer, as an artist, as, whatever you're doing right now, if you're creative, don't be afraid to think outside of what you think is possible. Maybe you don't have the funding. Maybe you don't have the things that you need to be set in place. Maybe all you got is social media. I promise you, God can take that little and expand it. Honestly, all we had, BCI, was just a page. It started off as just a social media page. And from that, everything else, the resources came, the money came. When you're a good steward over it, you can grow it really quickly because God can trust you. So, I just want to encourage you guys, again, just keep moving and God will continue to grow. And God will continue to grow. Honestly, you don't even have to be perfect because I'm not. I'm far from it. I don't even have all my stuff together to be able to deserve what I'm getting. But because you are able to just keep working and have a humble, committed heart, God will continue to open doors. I know some of you guys are already doing that. Thank you guys who came in and, just be encouraged. I'm not going to say much more. If you do have questions or things that you want to ask or even be a part of BCI or learn about what we're doing, you can feel free to message me. My handle is Jackie the Educator. And I love having conversations with people. It's what I do. And our community honestly is open to people who are doing kingdom work and obviously doing it in excellence. So I think this organization is definitely about that. So thank you again for having me. I appreciate all of you guys and I love you. And I pray that you guys are encouraged and supported from what we talked about today. I look forward to talking to you guys soon.